If you use any chatting app like WhatsApp, Telegram, or Signal, you may have noticed a message mentioning the app's use of end-to-end encryption. You may be wondering, why is the end-to-end encryption receiving all this hype? What does it even mean? Let us go through this analogy to understand the role of E2EE and how it works. Alice, Bob, and Trudy are playing the following game. Alice needs to pass a paper to Bob, and Bob should read what is written on it. However, all exchanges must go through Trudy. Alice and Bob lose if Trudy reads what's on that paper. What strategies can Alice adopt? Alice has the following idea. She tells Bob to get a special chest that is equipped with two locks, a red lock that opens the chest and a blue lock that closes it. Bob then sends the blue key and the empty open chest to Alice through Trudy. Trudy then makes a copy of the blue key before forwarding the items to Alice. Alice puts the paper inside the chest, closes it using her blue key, and gives it to Trudy. Trudy tries to open the chest, but she fails since she does not have the red key. Trudy finally hands the box to Bob, who opens the chest using his red key and reads what's on the paper. Alice and Bob won. Now for the analogy to make sense, consider the following parallels. Alice and Bob are random people like you and me who want to communicate with each other privately over the internet. Trudy is an intruder whose purpose is to eavesdrop on communications. The ultimate solution would be for Alice and Bob to use the chest with two locks, which is a metaphor for asymmetric encryption used in the famous end-to-end encryption. To summarize, end-to-end encryption is a system of communication where only the communicating users can read the messages. It was first developed in 1977 and gradually became available in consumer-grade applications. In the last few years, end-to-end encryptions have been the target of many draft laws, like the EarnNet legislation bill. You may wonder, why would a privacy algorithm need to be regulated? Well, it turns out that E2EE poses a significant risk to public safety. It provides a way for all sorts of criminal activities to flourish online while remaining undetected by law enforcement. Here are some examples. Terrorist groups like ISIS use Telegram for recruitment and coordination of terrorist operations. Images of child sexual abuse and stolen credit card numbers are being openly traded on E2EE encrypted apps. Militants in Syria have been trading thousands of weapons in publicly accessible black markets hosted on Telegram. To recap, E2EE benefited the well-intentioned Alice and Bob, but also helped criminals around the world. Thus, can E2EE be considered ethical? Garo and Serge discussed this dilemma according to different ethical theories.
The Kantian morality supports end-to-end encryptions as, from a reciprocity perspective, the people's freedom and autonomy should be conserved at all costs. Their privacy should not be manipulated or used as a mean, even for the sake of protection. In addition, in a universality perspective, if every information sent or data available would be reachable and controllable, then that would lead to a lack of privacy and trust among people, which results in everybody not using internet communication and thus defeating the purpose of online communication.
That is true. However, from a utilitarian perspective, more people would be happy knowing that their privacy is secured relative to the amount being victims of lack of protection against terrorist and corruption attacks. Furthermore, end-to-end encryption would lead to guaranteed privacy, but that is not the case when it comes to ending or protecting civilians against terrorist activities, as there are other means of communication to avoid being proctored. Hence, from extent uncertainty, a utilitarian would suggest the implementation of end-to-end encryption.
Yes, and in the case of virtue ethics, a wise man might think that he'd benefit more from the guaranteed privacy in his daily life than from the protection in a rare case of a terrorist attack, while on the other hand, a just man would never disregard the public safety. Thus, in this conflict of virtues, a virtuous man does not reach to a clear conclusion on which of privacy or safety to choose.
This debate examined E2EE's case from a theoretical point of view. However, to reach a strong conclusion, we surveyed to collect the public's opinion on the usage of E2EE with its implications. The survey displayed that the majority would accept the use of E2EE, being well informed of the risk it may pose, while others are uncertain or against it. Moreover, a significant percentage of people would allow their privacy to be sacrificed for the sake of public safety. Besides, they also do not prefer to be under constant surveillance from a third party. So, as a bottom line, E2EE shall not be readily and easily accessible to the public. Companies that supply chatting services should log all communications going through their servers. Those companies would then be legally obligated to submit useful information to any official investigation. Engineers have the responsibility of protecting people's privacy while also ensuring public safety. That is why, in the case of E2EE, engineers shall consider 1. Implementing defense mechanisms for the log servers to be hack-proof. 2. Developing a special encryption system that would provide exclusive access for the government to the log servers. 3. Submitting the defense mechanisms and special encryption system to independent auditing companies.